Have you ever wondered how close Anthrax came to releasing worship music without Joey Belladonna? Or that Corey Taylor nearly became the band's singer? This album survived record label interference, a completely shelved recording, multiple singers, and years of uncertainty before becoming one of the greatest comeback albums in thrash metal history. Today, we're looking at the incredible story behind worship music. By the mid-2000s, Anthrax found themselves in familiar territory, searching for another lead singer. Joey Belladonna had left the band once again in 2007, and Scott Ian, Charlie Bellante, Frank Bello, and Rob Caggiano began exploring new possibilities. One of those possibilities was completely unexpected. During a late-night hangout after an acoustic performance in New York, Scott Ian and Frank Bello joked with Slipknot and Stone Sour vocalist Corey Taylor about joining Anthrax. What started as a casual conversation slowly became a genuine possibility. Taylor loved the idea. Scott Ian and Charlie Bellante began sending him instrumental demos, and Corey started writing melodies and lyrics. According to Taylor himself, he completed material for roughly half an album. It wasn't simply guest vocals or a one-off collaboration. They were seriously preparing to make Corey Taylor the new singer of Anthrax. Then everything came crashing down. The day Corey was scheduled to fly to Chicago to rehearse with the band, Roadrunner Records stepped in. Because Roadrunner also represented Slipknot, the label insisted that Corey focus entirely on recording what would become All Hope Is Gone. Taylor later recalled that the label simply would not allow him to continue with Anthrax. He admitted that the decision broke his heart. He feared that Scott Ian and the rest of the band would be furious with him, even though the choice wasn't his to make. Ironically, the work wasn't wasted. Many of the instrumental tracks remained part of what eventually became worship music, while some lyrical ideas Taylor had written found new life on Slipknot's All Hope Is Gone. Anthrax had once again lost a singer before recording could truly begin. With Corey Taylor unavailable, Anthrax recruited former Devil-Sized vocalist Dan Nelson. For a while, everything seemed to be falling into place. The band spent nearly 2 years writing together, and by 2009, they completed an entire version of worship music. The album was finished, mixed, and scheduled for release. Then, disaster struck. Just weeks before the planned release, Anthrax and Dan Nelson suddenly parted ways. The split quickly became messy, with both sides offering different explanations for what happened. Public disagreements followed. Lawsuits were threatened, and the completed album immediately went into storage. Imagine spending years writing and recording an album only to shelve the entire project because your lead singer is gone. That's exactly where Anthrax found themselves. Desperate to save the record, the band briefly reunited with former vocalist John Bush for several live performances and even asked him to record vocals for the finished album, but Bush declined. His reasoning made perfect sense. Since the songs had been written specifically for Dan Nelson, Bush wanted enough time to rewrite lyrics and vocal melodies so they could sound authentic to him. Anthrax couldn't give him that time, so once again, it looked like worship music might never be released. Then something happened that changed everything. The legendary Big Four concerts featuring Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax were announced. For those historic shows, having Joey Belladonna front the band simply felt right. His voice defined Anthrax's classic era, and the reunion made perfect sense. Joey officially rejoined in early 2010. Initially, the reunion focused on the live performances, but the chemistry was undeniable. After the successful Big Four shows, Anthrax made the obvious decision. They would finally finish worship music with Joey Belladonna.
Most of all the instruments are done. Joey's singing right now. I think he's on the 5th song out of 8.
This wasn't as simple as having Joey overdub a few vocals. The band completely deleted Dan Nelson's vocal tracks. Belladonna re-recorded every song from scratch. Lyrics were adjusted, melodies were refined. Some songs were replaced altogether to better fit Joey's vocal style.
I think there might be a couple of lead breaks left. And then on March 3rd, we actually start tracking drums, guitar, and bass on another batch of 9 songs, I think.
Essentially, Anthrax rebuilt the album around their returning classic singer. After nearly 4 years of delays and multiple vocalists, worship music was finally ready. It arrived in September 2011, 8 years after Anthrax's previous studio album of original material. For many fans, it felt like the real return of classic Anthrax.
I can't say we're halfway there yet, but we're well into it.
Part 4, the songs and their meanings. One reason worship music connected so strongly with fans was the quality of its songwriting. The opening single, Fight 'Em Till You Can't, immediately became a live anthem. Scott Ian has described it as a celebration of perseverance and never giving up, whether you're chasing a dream or simply trying to survive life's challenges. Its positive message made it one of the band's defining modern songs. The Devil You Know explores temptation and the darker side of human nature, blending classic Anthrax melody with heavy riffs that reflected everything the band has learned during the John Bush years. Earth on Hell opens the album with incredible energy and addresses chaos, conflict, and humanity's tendency towards self-destruction. I'm Alive is an aggressive declaration of survival after adversity, fitting perfectly with the band's own journey through years of lineup instability. Perhaps the emotional centerpiece is In the End. The song serves as a tribute to two fallen metal legends, Ronnie James Dio and Dimebag Darrell. Rather than being a mournful ballad, it's a celebration of their legacy and the lasting impact they left on heavy metal. Over the years, In the End has become one of Anthrax's most beloved modern songs. Then there's a song titled Judas Priest. A direct tribute to the legendary heavy metal band of the same name, and the track's bridge explicitly references several famous Judas Priest song titles. What made the album especially impressive was how naturally it blended different eras of Anthrax. The song melodies of Joey Belladonna's classic period mixed seamlessly with the heavier groove influences developed during the John Bush years. Instead of sounding nostalgic, worship music sounded fresh. When worship music was finally released, expectations were surprisingly cautious. After years of delays, singer changes, and endless drama, many wondered if the album could possibly live up to the hype. The answer was a resounding yes. Critics praised the record as one of the strongest comeback albums in modern metal. Many reviewers commented on how cohesive it sounded, something that seemed almost impossible considering the chaotic recording process. Joey Belladonna received particular praise for his performance. Many critics felt he sounded rejuvenated, combining the soaring melodies fans remembered from the 1980s with a newfound maturity and confidence. Commercially, the album was also a success. Worship Music debuted at number 12 on the Billboard 200, becoming Anthrax's highest charting studio album since 1993's Sound of White Noise. It sold approximately 28,000 copies during its first week in the United States alone, an impressive achievement for a veteran thrash band in an era when album sales had dramatically declined. The timing couldn't have been better. The album was released just one day before Anthrax performed at Yankee Stadium as part of the historic Big Four concerts with Metallica, Slayer, and Megadeth. Promotion was everywhere. VH1 Classic heavily advertised the album. The band appeared on That Metal Show. Media coverage emphasized not only the return of Joey Belladonna, but also the remarkable story behind the album's creation. The touring cycle lasted nearly 2 years. Anthrax toured extensively throughout Europe and North America, sharing stages with Testament, Death Angel, Slayer, Motorhead, Slipknot, and many other acts. The tour wasn't without challenges. Scott Ian temporarily missed dates after the birth of his first child, while Charlie Malante occasionally sat out performances because of carpal tunnel syndrome and family commitments. Guest musicians including Andreas Kisser, Jason Bittner, and John Dette helped keep the tour moving. Unfortunately, the era also marked the end of another chapter. In early 2013, guitarist Rob Caggiano unexpectedly left Anthrax, bringing another lineup change just as worship music cycle was coming to an end. Even so, the album had already accomplished something remarkable. It restored Anthrax's reputation, reminded fans why they belonged to thrash metal's elite, and proved the classic lineup still had plenty left to say. More than its comeback album, Worship Music became one of the defining records of Anthrax's entire career. But the story doesn't end there. Next time we'll look at Anthrax's Anthrax EP, where the band paid tribute to some of the classic rock artists that inspired them, and we're going to discuss why Rob Caggiano decided to leave Anthrax at the height of the band's resurgence, and what his departure meant for the group's future. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, Subscribe, check out the Anthrax playlist on your screen to catch every episode of the series. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.